How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at Scrub Games, and today we've got a bit more Star Wars content for you all, and another in our Understanding How to Build series, going over each of the leaders and helping you understand how to build those leads so that you know what the best options are for you and how to build it in the way you want to build it. So we're going to go through and have a look at each leader, and we've gone through all the Vigilance ones, so the blue ones. Now we're on to the Command being green, as if you want to simplify it, if you're not sure of the aspects so far. And the first one we've got is Emperor Palpatine as our dark side of green. So before we get into this, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos as and when they drop. And if you hit the notification bell, you can get alerts on when my videos drop, so you can watch them there and then or at a later time that suits you. So let's have a look and see how we're going to build, well, helping you understand how to build Emperor Palpatine. So this is Emperor Palpatine, both the leader side and the deployed side. So it's in the command one, so it already is going to have like some benefits in its own aspects, being command and Villainy gives you access to like very good ramp cards to help get out quickly, because it is a late deploy, because it doesn't deploy until you hit 8 resources, so it's one of the what is the latest in the game that allow to deploy, but it comes down with a solid 4 damage, which isn't too bad, but 10 health, which is one of the highest in the game so far for a deployed leader. So it comes down very bulky, very hard to take out from its health, but doesn't do the most damage, but it's pretty strong. So late deploy means you're going to have having the benefit of being in the ramp aspect in command, gives you always that a slight edge, so you can get kind of ramp to get it drop quicker, so you can bring it out. And on its while you get there, it's got a nice action where by paying 1 and tapping himself and defeating a friendly unit, so killing your own friendly unit, you get to deal 1 damage to any unit and then draw a card. So you get to replace a card on board by drawing a new card and dealing the damage. And the damage kind of pays quite well into its own effect, because when it deploys, you've got the when deployed effect being a take control of damaged non-leader units, so take any control of any of your opponent's units that's damaged, so you can damage it with defense with the leader side. When you deploy, take that unit you damage, which is very, very strong and very annoying, especially when your opponent's got a big unit. You can just damage it and take control of it. So the longer it goes in the game, and the bigger things your opponent plays, the better you can things you can steal. And it's just any unit, could be space or ground, which is very scary. And then on attack, it kind of embodies its leader side effect, where on attack you can defeat another friendly unit, and if you do defeat a friendly unit, you get to deal 1 damage to a unit and draw a card. So you get to just kill something he was, because kind of Emperor doesn't care about his stuff. He basically just wants to get rid of it, just basically keep and win. So you defeat your own unit, especially hopefully you've attacked with it first before defeating it, and then you get to deal 1 damage and draw cards. You can get a good bit of draw, kind of filter through the deck as well, because I think there is even a spaceship unit in green into command, which when played allows you to draw a card. So you can kind of then defeat that off after swing with it. He doesn't swing for much, like 1 damage, but then you can defeat it and draw a new card with this. So it's a good way to kind of draw quite a bit. Very solid stats, but a very late game. But then luckily it's outweighed by the fact that you run the ramp aspect, and then you can just always still take your opponent's lead. So it's always looking like a very strong lead. You just need to understand how to build it best for you, and what's the best way to make use of it. So we got 4 different aspect combinations you can go with. So you got the 2 you get from the lead being Villainy and Command. So it's always got black and green, and then you got either the options to go with Vigilance, go double command, so you get the most use of the ramp. Go aggression, so you can kind of deal damage, so you can have more options to kind of, without outside the leader, affect the damage stuff, to damage more things, to take control when you deploy. And cunning to kind of control the game. So those are the 4 different aspect commands, aspect combinations. So we go through them, and we're, like always, we're going to start off with the double aspects to make sure we can have a look at that. But before we do, let's have a look at ratios and understand about the ratios, because not everybody's going to watch every single video, so it's best to go over each one to kind of explain what is the best ratios. So you can run up to 3 copies of any given card, so you can run a card at either 1 copy, 2 copies, or 3 copies. And you might be wondering, why didn't you just chuck in 3 copies? Well, you want to keep it close to 50 as possible for consistency, because the more cards you include in the deck, the less likely you are to kind of draw what you need. So you want to keep it 50, and also you want to kind of put cards in to kind of get benefits from the ratios, to allow you to see cards you want to see and not see too early the cards you want to see. Any card you want to put free, it means you want to kind of like see the card early, and you want to see it as like much as possible. Like Super Laser Technician would be a good one. For example, you're going to want it for free because you want to see it as soon as possible and quickly, so you can play it out, defeat it with like swing with it, defeat it with the Emperor, so you can ramp and also gain cards. So a very nice unit that pairs well with the Emperor. We'll see that free. Then you've got things like Devastator here, which is a very late game card, so it's 10 cost, so it's not going to come out until like turn 9 unless you ramp a little bit earlier. But as a card you don't really see early because you won't be able to drop it, and you don't want to always resource it too early, because then you got less access to it. So once you resource a card, you're not really going to get it back. So seeing this early means you just have a dead card you're going to have request to be able to resource, but it means that you don't have it as the option for a later game because you've already seen it early and resourced it. So having it less copies means you're less likely to see it early, so you don't have to like waste time resourcing it, and you can hopefully see it later when you actually want to play it. And you've got things like Traitorous here being like a card that is kind of like a situational thing, which it can get you a good benefit, but like it's a card that's quite late, but it can get you a benefit on like limited things. Like things like a card like this, you might not want to have too many copies because it's not always the best. It's not the best in all matchups. In some matches, it could be quite useful. So you got either just one copy as a tech choice, and so if you see it, you see it, and it's good. If you don't see it, you don't care about it. That's the kind of thing with tech choices, that like if you see it, you don't. If you see it, you can make use of it, or resource if it's not useful. And if you don't see it, you don't really care because you haven't seen it and it's not impacted you in any way. So that is the idea behind the ratios. Hopefully that helps you understand why and when you want to include something. Get 3 copies, 2 copies, or 1 copy. So now we'll move on to command and have a look and see what double command offers you. So with every one of the aspects, you've got a double aspect one, and what that basically does is limit the amount of cards you got access to, because you're now locked to just one aspect without incurring the aspect penalty. But you don't get access to powerful cards. Like you lose access to a whole other aspect, but you get access to some really strong double aspect cards. And currently in the first set, there's only 3 double aspect cards in each different aspect. So these are the 3 cards you're kind of sacrificing in every aspect for a more of a card pool to have access to these. And remember, with the aspect penalty, it basically means if you want to pay a card that doesn't share an aspect among your leader and base, you have to pay an extra 2 for that card on top of its cost to play it out. So if you would have a card that costs 3, but it shares as an aspect that isn't shared on your lead and base, then you have to pay an extra 2, so it would cost 5 instead of 3. And then if it's like got 2 aspects on it, it doesn't share, it'd be an extra 4 because 2 for each aspect, it doesn't match. Now with command, you got one of the best bases in the rare base, but you also all aspects have 3 bases, being 2 vanilla bases that are just 30 health but no skill, and then you've got the rare base, which is less health at 25 instead of 30, but as an epic action you can use once a game. And for Energy Conversion Lab, it's allowing you to play a 6 cost for less from your hand and give it ambush. One thing to note is that with Energy Conversion Lab is that you need to pay the cost for the card. So while you do pay it 6 or less, it doesn't come in for free. You have to pay the cost, but then again, the benefit is you give it the card ambush, meaning you can attack a unit straight away when it comes in. So you can ready attack a unit, but if there's nothing in that same arena that you can attack, then you just don't ready. So don't waste it. Make use of it. And for the double aspect card, you kind of get access to 3 nice ones. You get access to General Crow, being a very good 5-cost unit, 5/4 on its stats, but then whenever unit is defeated, you draw a card. So every unit gains when defeated, draw a card. So that kind of pairs great with that Palpatine, where you can then use Palpatine's effect, kill one of your cards on board, and then you draw a card from Palpatine's effect and from the card being defeated. So you can draw for your deck quite quickly with that combination. You'd have attack pattern delta if you got a wide board, which Palpatine doesn't seem to do, because they're just getting off his own units. You get to give units a boost. You give the first unit a 3/3, second unit 2/2, and the third unit 1/1 to kind of boost at your board, so you can kind of swing quite hard. And then you've got access to command, being one of the 3 ramp cards in the game, and having double on command gives you access to all 3 of them, because you've got one that's just normal in command, command here, which is double command, and you've got the Super Laser Technician, which is command and villainy. So by being a command villainy leader, you get access to all 3, as long as you put the other aspect being free base being command. And command is really nice because it offers you 2 of any order of 4 effects. So you can either give 2 experience tokens to a unit, so it makes it stronger, allow a friendly unit to deal damage to it equal to its power to a non-unique enemy unit. Now this doesn't work on leaders, which is a sad thing, but is still allowed to take things out that's not unique but without attacking. You can put this into play as a resource, so you can basically charge it, or then you can return a unit from your discard pile to your hands, any unit you want, which is pretty cool. Being able to grab something that you lost early is pretty cool. Also, like giving you a resource is really nice. Normally, you're going to be always using the effect to put it as a resource, as a ramp card for the whole reason to play it, and then one of the other three effects. Sorry. So that's a benefit you get from playing double aspect, but you got to think about: do you want to limit your card pool to just the command cards without the aspect penalty, or do you want to give it a higher one? Like you do get access to all 3 ramp cards, but is 2 being super laser attack and resupply enough to not need to worry about command? Now I'll leave that decision up to you, but then you do get the option to have command, but you limit yourself to just command, but you got some very good cards in command, especially in the dark side of it as well. So it could be it's one of the few leads that kind of like is still good in a double aspect, but it could be better in the other aspects as well. So we'll go on to the first aspect, which is our vigilance. So this is a nice one. I pair of it like green blue or command vigilance is very good when with the dark side. It's got very nice cards and very like strong late game cards, especially in the dark side of it. So you got the vanilla bases, then you got security complex as your rare base, and its epic action to give a shield token to your non-leader unit, which is pretty pointless for this since you can't see defeating your units. You constantly defeating your units to kind of like draw cards and deal damage. So giving a shield token to a unit is pointless, but it's just going to be defeated by you unless you want to protect against, unless you use it for late game to protect when you like big things. But it's not the best, but it's an option there. And you got some very good dark side units. You got like a third of 4 as a good turn 1 play to kind of scry the top 2 cards of your deck. Cards if you want to put at the bottom, keep them there. Power dark side being some very good removal that could even hit a leader. Like if you limit it depends on the board. Like if your opponent's got a huge board, it's not going to be strong. But if your opponent's got a very limited board, then it's going to be very strong, forcing your opponent to just sack off something that you might want to not get rid of. Then you got some very good big units in Count Dooku's like a late game like big ground unit. Allowed to come in and like basically just straight away take out something with 4 or less remaining HP. Will come in shielded with decent stats, and an Avenger being a very strong space unit. Very good stats at 8/8, but quite hefty at 9, which is why I benefit of ramp, and good thing Palpatine's in the ramp aspect himself. And then when it comes down to 1 attacks, your opponent has to choose one of the non-leader units and they control and defeat that. And then you get access to one of the biggest and best board clears in the game, being Super Laser Blast, being a very costly 8-card event, but it destroys all units on the field. So if you feel you're on the back foot, like, this is very good that even tech is 1, because you're on the back foot and struggling before getting before you get to Palpatine, or until you get to Palpatine, you can always just like wipe the board, set the state clean, so you can start back at 0 and then start trying to like command and take control of the board again. And in the non-dark side of it, you got some pretty good cards. Like you got some good removal cards and like take down a vanquish to help you like just take out things rather than doing damage. And considering that Palpatine is a Force unit that's dropped, you've got all it binds all things to kind of help it survive with its already bulky stats, being like a 10 HP. Now they heal it and then deal damage elsewhere as well, since you already did damage with him slowly, which is like cool. Then you got some other nice cards like System Patrol Craft as a good space unit to kind of like protect from the space arena until you get to Palpatine, and then Entrench to kind of like use it as ways to stop your opponent from attacking a certain area on your base, or just boosting one of your cards to kind of deal with the board while you ramp up. So as that blue aspect gives you really good blue when paired with command on Villainy is very, very good. One of probably the best combinations to have with this, because it offers you some good clearance cards, while also Palpatine himself being in the ramp card. So this is a very good one to start off if you want to try it. It's probably the first one to try really, and then before you try the other ones. But then we also have aggression. So this one gives a lot more force cards in the dark side. So, and considering that Palpatine is a Force unit as well, it's very good. And also I forgot to mention one of the best legendaries in the game in Darth Vader is also accessible, but we'll go over that because I forgot we leave its own leader's own aspects to the last. But with red, well, aggression, you got attacking town as your red base if you want to go for a vanilla base, and this has the epic action allowing you to deal 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit, so you can kind of finish things off. And considering that Palpatine is going to be putting damage on cards, meaning that they're most likely going to be damaged, you can finish them off with this, which is cool. And you get access to some good dark side cards. You get Admiral Ozzel, which isn't the best, but a nice one. If you put it in turn 1 and have the initiative, you can then straight up use the effect, tap yourself, play Imperial unit from your hand. That enters play, so you don't pay the cost for the card, and then each opponent may ready a unit. So if you do this while the unit's already readied, then you have to get a benefit of like swinging or something, and then resetting it so you can swing again. So remember, the best way to use this is at the start of a turn where you have initiative to make sure that you're not giving your benefit of your opponent readying something. If they've got something rest, if they've got nothing rested or exhausted, you don't have to worry about them readying something and getting more use out of something, because they can't get the full use of it. What you get the effect to play something destroyed, it comes in ready. You got Imperial Interceptors being a very good space unit. Just come down and deal 3 damage to a space unit. Very nice. Just sometimes it takes them out, especially some good ones. There's a very few good ones that like only have 3 HP, so they'll take them out straight away from just playing a card. It's very nice. Then you got some good Force unit cards. You got Emperor Palpatine himself at 8 cost. It comes out at the same time you would deploy him. Comes down and just spreads out 6 damage amongst your opponent's units, and has some decent stats at 6/6. Not the best, but it's decent stats. But allow you to also kind of like chip things off and finish them off on board. Just take out stuff. We'll also have an overwhelm with their excess damage from attacking something that's damaged to the base. Then you got some good Force cards. Be a Fallen Lightsaber being a nice upgrade you can put on a Force unit. That gives it extra 3/3 on its stats, plus allows it to deal 1 damage to each ground unit in defending player controls when it attacks. So a very good way to make Palpatine even stronger by making it 7/13. But you have to wait a long time to deploy Palpatine, because you don't have to wait that long because it's still in the ramp color. So a very good way to do it if you want to, just making Palpatine a huge body, and then just basically just cracking on more damage, while also spreading damage as well. And you got Force Lightning being a very nice one, allowing you to choose a unit. Basically make it skillless for the phase, and then if you control a Force unit, which Palpatine is, you get to pay an extra resources, and for each resource you paid, you do an extra 2 damage to the unit you chose. So you can kind of take something out for very cheap with this, and while also negating this effect, so it doesn't get like any when defeated or anything like that, which is quite cool. And then you've got more things, remember, because you're doing damage by Palpatine anyway, by sacking off things. Aggression is a good way to just deal damage as well, so you've got access to things like dropping off upgrades, so they take off shields off units by using Disable Fangfire, putting out some good strong units like particularly Insurgent and Wolf even allowing your opponent to prevent your opponent from healing, so they can't just heal their base from one damage you're putting out. Then you've got some things like Open Fire, allow you to deal 4 damage to a unit, kind of finish things off, or put them in space for Tarkin Town. And then Force Throw being a very good card with a Force unit, and you got more Force units than the ones that are shown in red as well, like very good in the dark side. That can make full use of Force Throw, because Force Throw you can just go choose a player, make him discard a card. But then if you control a Force unit, you can deal damage to a unit equal to the discarded card's cost. So you can just have a bit of control by making your opponent discard, but also then potentially deal damage depending on what they discard as well. So if they discard a big thing, you can do quite a bit of damage. And that's the aggression. So you can go a quite nice way with Palpatine in aggression, because you've got the ramp options already, because Palpatine is in command himself, so you don't have to worry about needing to put a green base with Palpatine, because he's already got the green in him, so you already access the ramp without the aspect penalty. And you got some access to some really good Force units to make use with that you can get with Palpatine, especially when putting a Fallen Lightsaber on Palpatine when it does eventually drop. Can make it a very big boy, especially because 10 HP, put up to 13, he's very, very good. So that's aggression. Then you have access to Cunning. So Cunning does have a really good way to play with Command, because you can then ramp up quickly, and then you've got some pretty good units. But then I'm not sure how Palpatine can get the most benefit of this, but then you can always work it out yourself if you just have a look into it yourself. But you got Jeddah City as your rare base, just allowing you to make a non-leader unit weaker by 4 for the phase. You can make it weaker, so you don't have to take much damage attacking into it and taking it out. Or you could just make it so it doesn't do as much damage to your base or to units for a turn or for a phase. And you got access to pretty good dark side units. So you got Big Fortuna allowing you to make use of events quicker, so you can put this potentially turn 1. And then allow you use this action to play out use resupply for a 1 less. You can only have 1 energy to make use of its the Emperor's effect, and then just pop Bib Fortuna. So you can then both ramp with resupply, and then go ahead and then pop before 2 if its shield's popped, to then draw a card and deal damage to something. So very good aspect, way to use there. Cartel Spacer being a nice like kind of control spaceship where when it comes down, if you've got a cunning card in play, exhaust is 4 or less. Boba being a very good legendary unit, especially playing off Darth Vader. Bounty Hunter crew being able to like ambush, so kind of like come in ambush before and grab back an event from your discard pile. So if there's like a good card you've got in there, good event card, because there's some good events in both Command and Cunning, you can grab that back. And you got No Good to Be Dead, a really good card to be able to like kind of lock something down, like keep it exhausted, so it isn't exhausted for the last turn and the next turn, which is very, very strong. And then on the normal side of Command, you got some pretty awesome cards as well. You got Greedo's very cheap unit that you can always just pop, and then trigger its one defeated effect to discard a card, and if it's not a unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit, so kind of like put some pressure on, and then just go and pop Greedo. You got Pirate Starflyer, be able to like bounce back things and make use of them. Like, probably not the best when you're just destroying units with Palpatine, but it could be decent. Very good stats. You just need to have something else on board to be able to drop it. Strafing Gunship is always going to be shown in the Cunning cards when going over Cunning, because it's just such a unique unit, be able to be the only unit that can go between arenas. So be a space unit that can fight in ground arena, but just takes 2 less back when it does attack in there. And then once again, you've got some pretty good combos you can have for like cards. You got Change of Heart being a very good like late game unit, be able to late game event, be able to just take control of your opponent's unit. And the nice thing about this, you can just take control of your opponent's leader unit, attack with it, and then attack or make use of Palpatine's effect, and then pop the unit you just took control, so they don't gain it back at the end of the turn, and then draw a card and deal damage. So that's very good use. Like Change of Heart is very nice with Palpatine, just because you can take control of something your opponent controls, so you can then make use of it before they can make use of it, especially if you've got initiative. Take it first thing in the turn, and then just say you can't have that. I've got this is mine for the turn, but then make sure you don't give it back. That's the downside of this card, is that you can take something, but in the turn you give it back. But with Palpatine, you can just attack if he's deployed, or use its tap effect to just go pop it before it comes back. After you made use of it and like swung with it, you can then pop it with Palpatine, then draw a card and make sure they're not getting it back. So you can like remove things. You like steal one of their cards, make use of it yourself, and then get rid of it so they don't get it back, which is very cool. And you've got Sneak Attack, which is a very nice card that go in combination with Super Laser Technician, especially on turn 2, because you can, for 2 energy, or 2 resources, you can play a unit from your hand. It costs 3 less, you can make Super Laser Technician free. And it ends play ready, so you can attack straight with it, and then in the start of the regroup phase, it defeats. It becomes defeated, which then, if you do a Super Laser Technician, if you do it at turn 1, going Sneak Attack into Super Laser Technician, and then you attack with it, do 2 damage, and then you pay out, and start your in the regroup phase, it then resources and goes in your resource active, and then you get the charge in your next turn as well in your regroup phase, so you go straight away from 2 energy turn 1 to 4 energy turn 2 that you can actually use, which is quite cool. It's a very combo, like it requires 2 specific cards, but it's a very nice combo that can help you run pretty quickly. So you do have to access some really nice cards, just you lose access to kind of like, well, you got the benefit of each one. So you got like the kind of like removal built in blue, you've got the aggression of force stuff in red, and then you've got the like kind of cool combos and control in yellow. So you've got very good ways to play these ones, and you've got the benefit of potentially going double aspect if you want to get the full 4 ramp spot, but then you would deny yourself some of these very good cards. But you can always play cards off aspect and pay the aspect cost if you feel like it'd be useful. Like that's something that people are now experimenting with. You can always try. Also, you got access to being a villainy. You got access to you got like just villainy as well. So you got like TIE Fighter is a very cheap one you can put out and then pop it for your lead. Viper Probe Drawer being a good one you can play turn 2, get a look at your opponent's hand and see what they've potentially got for the next turn, and then next turn just sack this off after you attack with it. And you got Snow Trooper Lieutenant, a pretty nice one that kind of force through attacks a bit stronger. And you got Cell Block Guard being a very good sentinel unit to come out and defend yourself in the ground arena. And if it's going to die or if it's about to die, you can always pop it with Emperor as well. So pretty nice just villainy units. You might be thinking now, what benefits does Palpatine get as just a command villainy? Well, let's go over and have a look at that. So in its just own aspects, it has some really good cards, and also a card that's kind of made more just for him. So you got Super Laser Technician as another way to kind of ramp, and a very good one with the Emperor because you've got a way built in yourself to kind of defeat it, so it straight away ramps itself. Because it's got when defeated, you can put this in your play as a resource and ready it. so you can kind of mitigate the cost of tapping one to defeat it. So you have to worry about crashing into one of your opponent's units, or your opponent having a unit in the ground arena to crash into to ramp. You can pop it yourself with Palpatine, so you have a bigger benefit than most other leads that want to use Super Laser. And then you got Emperor's Royal Guard being a very good one that goes really well with the lead. Being a free cost, that's 3/4. If you control an official unit, it gains Sentinel. So when Palpatine's deployed, he's an official unit, so he gives it Sentinel. And then while you control it, Palpatine, it basically gets an extra 0+1 as well. And I think that counts as a leader. I can't remember if that counts because it's a hyperface, but so it kind of like mitigates on the non-needed text. So I can't remember if it's when deployed or as a leader, you can get that benefit. But you can make it a little bit bulkier, so you can make it kind of like Boba stats in a free cost, which is very good. And then you got Darth Vader being one of the best units in the game. Legend is one of the most expensive legendaries at the moment, but it's a very nice 1/7. Comes in solid stats, ambushes, and then we can actually play out cards that are up to 3 or less, like combined cost of 3 or less. That are dark from it, so you can get Super Laser Tech, you can get Soulblock Guards, you can get very good units, even Emperor's Royal Guard as well. And you got Devastator being a very good late game unit, like coming down at 10, so very, very late. But then when it comes down, it deals damage to a unit equal to or less than its resources you control. So you can do at least 10 minimum to something, which is cool. That's normally taking out something straight away. And it's also got Sentinel to protect your leader and or protect your base and units in the space arena, unless it goes for hit. And it's overwhelmed because it's going to deal any excess damage to your base. And being at 10/10, it's going to be dealing excess damage. Then you got Overwhelming Barrage being one of the best events in the game, allowing you to just basically boost something by 2/2, but then be able to deal damage to your opponent's board, however you choose, equal to the power of the card you're given. So you give a power boost to something, and then spread its power as damage to your opponent's board. Now it might be a costly card, but you will need to have something set up on board. So you need to have something set up on board before you drop this. But while you're going to be ramping, and you can ramp quite easily with Super Laser Technician and stuff, you can always basically get something big out and then make use of this to kind of control your opponent's board. So you got some very strong cards in the dark side of green. And then you got some everyone's in green as well. So you got Vanguard Infantry, a nice one that you can kind of make use with the Emperor Palpatine's effect, where if you just have this out, pop this for the leader's effect to draw 1 and deal damage to something, and then it triggers when defeated, leave an experience token to something, which is quite cool. So you can power something else while getting the use at your leader. Sorting Star Viper being a very good space unit to kind of like give you the hill where you got the initiative and very good stats. Reinforcement Walker for like since you're gonna be getting late game with since you're gonna get late game with having ramp built in, you can always drop this, then start like either drawing a card, getting more resources, which you already do in your lead, or then like discarding the top card of your deck and healing, which is quite cool. Then you got Traitorous, so another way you can kind of take cards from your opponent, but then it's when upgrading kind of limited and very limited compared to Change of Heart. It's cost it 5, but you get to take control of anything that's not a leader that costs 3 or less. And then if this upgrade gets taken off it, you have to give the card back to your opponent. But you can always take something off your opponent that's they've been boosting up. So this is really nice where if they keep boosting up a little thing, take control of it with this, swing with it, and then use your lead to just pop it and get rid of it. So a nice way to do that. And you got resupply being another way to ramp. So the really nice thing about this lead is that while it's a very late deploy 8, considering since it's in the green aspect of command, you got access to the ramp cards, kind of like ramp your resources to get there quicker. So you have to wait until turn 7 just to deploy. You can deploy a bit early as long as you see resupply Super Laser Tech. And considering its effect, you can make use of like popping whenever you want Super Laser Tech without relying on your opponent having things to crash into. So if your opponent's kind of avoiding the ground arena to not let you have something to attack to like resource the Super Laser Tech, Palpatine can do it himself. And you've got access to some very good cards, and each aspect also offers like a lot of viable options. Like you've got a fair good use out of all 4 different aspects, and there's no like it probably is the best one, but I'm not really sure currently. But then it all comes down to preference. Like some people might not want to have like the best one. People might not want to use blue green, which is currently the best combination when it comes to Villainy. And some people want to try like aggression because the 4 stuff, or even try cunning to try something different as well. And like make use of cards like Change of Heart to kind of control board, make use of your opponent's stuff, or also not letting them have them back as well. So that is it for the video. Hopefully it helps you understand how to build Palpatine and which route you're going to make use of. I will eventually, I think I will build this to try out some gameplay with it as well, because I do like the look of it. It looks pretty cool, and hopefully you'll see that soon. But that is it for me today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and check out for our next one as we go over the next of the Villainy command leaders, being Grand Moff Tarkin. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you next one. Bye for now.